NCI-designated cancer centers deliver cutting-edge cancer treatments to patients in communities across the United States. It's a responsibility that everyone at UC Davis Comprehensive Cancer Center takes seriously.
The major thing about a comprehensive cancer center is not only do we have to give the best possible care, which I hope we do, but I think everyone who looks after patients is going to try and give the best possible care. But we also have to generate new knowledge, and we have to disseminate new knowledge.
An area of clinical interest integrates immunotherapy and radiation in lung cancer.
We have 2 trials that should be activating soon. The first enrolls patients with metastatic lung cancer. They undergo standard immunotherapy and they receive stereotactic radiation to a single metastatic lesion. We're trying to figure out what the best timing is for delivering stereotactic radiation with immunotherapy and assessing the safety of this approach. The second trial involves patients who are receiving SBRT for early stage medically inoperable lung cancer. Now we know with SBRT that patients typically have very good rates of local control, but they may recur either elsewhere in the lung or with metastatic disease within several years after treatment. So we are adding an immunotherapy agent following delivery of SBRT to try and reduce the rate of regional and distant failures.
In many types of cancer, chemotherapy resistance is a persistent problem that can occur during the course of treatment. A trial called SPIDER is a good example of the center's efforts to understand this phenomena.
The SPIDER program is it's the serial patient-derived xenografts to understand cancer therapy resistance program. So really what we're trying to do is trying to understand both the efficacy of new drugs that are targeted agents and even immunotherapy agents, and what resistance develops. So how can we overcome that resistance? And we want to learn these things as quickly as possible. So the SPIDER program involves research-based patient tumor biopsies. So we do a biopsy prior to the start of a new treatment. And the patients who go on this trial are going on with a particular target that we're interested in targeting and a particular drug. So there's a pair, a drug-target pair. Do a biopsy before of this and implant these tumor tissue into immunodeficient mice. And so we call those patient-derived xenografts. When we establish those patient-derived xenograft models, we're able to treat the model in the same way that we treated the patient. So we have the molecular alteration and the drug pair. And we're able to look at that and say what type of resistance develops. The advantage of patient-derived xenografts compared to cell line models is they recapitulate a lot more of the diversity of cells that go into a tumor. We know that tumors are not monomorphic populations. They have stroma and many other things that are involved. And so we're able to sort of recapitulate that. And so we think it's very likely that these models will better recapitulate what actually happens in the human.
A common challenge encountered with underserved populations is poor recruitment into early clinical trials. But efforts at UC Davis have been met with some measurable success.
The nice thing about it is we can now show with our data here at UC Davis that the proportion of minorities, not just Asians, but African Americans, Hispanics, American Indians, the proportion of those who participate in clinical trials are much higher than the national average, and even to be candid with you, even higher than non-Hispanic whites. We now have a reverse disparity in which minorities' recruitment to clinical trials is better than non-Hispanic whites. Non-Hispanic whites typically have been the standard by which it's compared, and so we're not only doing better than non-Hispanic whites, we're also doing better than the country as a whole. And I attribute that to just the time it takes to understand the culture, to resonate with the individual's culture, to offer it in the language that people are comfortable with and prefer, and then to provide an actionable behavior for them to do.
The NCI designation is a badge that the center proudly wears. It means that the physicians who see patients in clinic are collaborating with researchers to develop new approaches to detecting, preventing, and treating cancer for all populations.
That's a big achievement, because what it does is going for NCI designation mobilizes everybody to do the right thing. You know, you're sharing data and information and research, and it gets investigators that are in the basic sciences to work with the clinical sciences. We have the vet school, bioengineering. It gets all of these people that are engaged in cancer for a common goal, and that's to find a cure. And that's just, doesn't get any better than that.